Hello and welcome back. This is MC1 Gamer bringing you yet another battle report with Nagash and the Undead Legions. I was actually fully intending after the grudge match with the Dwarves and Anthony from the Sustainable Center to just put them up on the shelf for a little while. Bring them out for special battles anytime where maybe another special character came up or any mega battles. There'll be other opportunities, but just want to give them a little bit of a rest and try to make some other lists with maybe other special characters from end times or none, or maybe just go back and pull up some VC. I'm probably going to build up some ETC lists. Not that I want to play ETC, but just to give some of my local friends that frequent the GT circuit and some of the bigger tournaments some practice so that they can do well. One of the guys in the local area, his store closed down, and I was going to be joining his campaign. He frequents quite a few. He's got a team of guys. They frequent quite a few GTs in the Northeast, so he goes to Crossroads a lot and a lot of the other ones. And he's a real good player. And he just wanted to take his Demons of Chaos list. It's a tough list. I think it's ETC compatible, and he called Nagash out. He said, "I want to fight this army. I want to see how well it stacks up." He's not a big fan of end times. I don't hold that against him, but he's game, and I respect that. I really do. That he just he absolutely saw some of the videos, saw some of the steamroll that Nagash is capable of. And right off the bat, before I even had posted all of them, had said, let's get a game on, and that's great. I brought him and his group down to a local place that's trying to build up some more Warhammer fantasy players, the Fat Moose Comics and Games in Whippany, and they've got a bunch of tables now, and they're looking to get some more gaming mats and build up some more of their terrain. So that's what we've got. And here's a picture of his army. First of all, let me just tell you that this is a absolutely beautiful army. I don't think the pictures do it justice. And this is a solid list. I mean, it's not going to be a whole lot of cannons. I'm not really worried about the shooting as much. But there's ward saves across the board. There's a lot of casting, a lot of channeling. But more than anything else, I love the way it looks. It's all fully painted, and it really is painted very nicely. So here's my list. You've seen this before. I've now brought this to I think 5, maybe 6 games. Nagash is a little more fully painted, although I'm going to put him aside so I can finish some other projects. But I've got his screen of Crypt Horrors, which is not going to be screening today because I'm not, there's just not as much worry about the cannon shot. 3 units of archers, the 2 Screaming Skull catapults, 3 units of dogs, Higher Titan, and the casket, and of course Big Nags himself. For spells, well, I've got some default spells. The bound spells on the Higher Titan is Spirit Leech and Shem's Burning Gaze. And for spells that I didn't go for anything in death, which my opponent said he thought was a big mistake. But I just wanted to keep things simple. I wanted to make sure I got all my summoning spells, which I did. I picked 5 summoning spells. 4. One of his default, which is Rise, and then I picked a bunch of spells from the Lore of Vampires. I wanted to have enough options so that I could heal myself back if I take some damage, plus anything else that I might cast, from Raised Deads to additional movement. The level 1 Baby Necro Scroll Caddy also has Invocation. So here's his spells, and again, he has them spread over the course of a number of units. So he's got the Tzeentch Firestorm, the Infernal Gateway, Bowl of Change, the Blue Fire of Tzeentch. He's got the Gehenna's Golden Hound, Searing Doom. Final Transmutation is something I'm very scared about. Treason of Tzeentch, and then Pink Fire of Tzeentch, I believe. So he's got a really good spread of spells that matches mine, almost spell for spell in terms of volume. But the big difference, of course, is that I've got a lot of. He may have a lot of channeling, but a lot of his casting is only on a +2, where mine is on mostly, almost exclusively on a +5, with a lot of other boosters. So here's my deployment. On my right side, I have my unit of dogs. 1 unit all the way off to the right, according to this picture. I put my two catapults together. Probably a mistake. I probably should have spread them out. Just because if his ambushes come on, he has the opportunity to overrun into one. I put the casket out there, just asking for somebody to try and go after it. Now there was some hedgerows that we put up. We just, we had some sparse terrain, and we used his rule of picking like 2 or 3 each, and then rolling dice to scatter. So wherever it would scatter, that's where it would lay. And then we picked sides. So, I think that's what happens in some of the tournaments or some of the games that he goes to. I was more than happy to go and accommodate it. This hedgerow, I figured I'll start off with the Crypt Horror screening Nagash, but I'm probably going to move Nagash in front of that hedgerow. Any kind of wall is going to stop cannon fire if it doesn't do a direct hit. So I'm more than happy to have a piece of terrain blow up instead of Nagash, and then free up my Crypt Horrors to go out there and do some damage. So I got the 2 archer units, and also I wanted to have a kind of a buffer. If he overran from one into another after he destroyed one, I wanted to have another one there to catch him. There's my Higher Titan within 12 inches, another unit of dogs in the center, just to try and chaff stuff up in the middle. And then off to another unit of archers and the Crypt Horrors, and then all the way off to the side I have another unit of dogs. So here's the 2 units of dogs that he has that are ambushing. So they're going to come on turn 2. And here's his. So this is from as pictured left to right. He's got a unit of pink horrors, a unit of 6 beasts of Nurgle. Another unit of pink horrors, a solo beast. In the back there, he's got his Tzeentch disc rider, and I believe he's got metal. And then the Khorne cannon, another unit of pink horrors, solo beast. He's got the unit of I think that's the unit, the next one of drones that has the banner of flame, pink horrors, and then another drone unit. So it can be pretty fast moving, this unit. Certainly a lot of casting potential. And here's the board as just in one picture. So you can see just what the layout is. So vanguards. I chose to just move up the center wolves just a little bit. I wanted to see what he did. I moved one unit around, again, one unit of dogs, just around the side a little bit of that structure, not all the way. And then the other one, again, all the way off to the left, just to really sweep out and see what I could do off to that side, just to give myself options. And I, of course, luckily enough, rolled turn 1. So turn 1, I move up both dog units. I don't think I moved this dog unit off to the right, but that dog unit that you see off to the center, I moved right up in his grill so that, to chaff up. You'll see that when you see the reverse pictures. I was trying to take pictures from all sides of the board. And then I kind of did like a little shuffle. I'm trying to clear a lane now to move the Crypt Horrors up. So I moved up the both archer units to get within range of their shooting. I think it's only 24 inches. And then I moved to Gash where he's right behind the wall. So magic. I get off Rise very quickly. Again, I've got a huge advantage. I've got die 3 added onto the total of the spell. I'm doing most of these rounds. I do very well with the dice, and I'm also starting at +5, where he's only got +2. So I easily get off Rise, and with Nagash, everything's just absolutely supercharged and maximized. I get triple the points. That gets me 9 Vargeist. So I'm able to follow up, and I think I throw the rest of my dice at the Akararan, the Dark Riders, trying to get some cav units, and I get Irresistible. So with that, I'm able to pick out a very good-sized unit of Blood Knights. No upgrades, so I don't have the Banner of Bloodkeep, for example. And I didn't want to put that right up in his face. I wanted to try and spread out the board a little bit. His units are pretty fast-moving, so I figured I could throw this with 36 inches movement. And these guys also... Blood Knights are not going to be limited to in their marching ability, needing to be next to the general. So I wanted to really put them on the wide angle. On one side, I already have all those Vargeist, so I wanted to spread the board out and put the Blood Knights all the way to the right and sweep around there. And when we finally rolled for the miscast effect, I think it was like a 7 or a 6, so it was just an individual template on Nagash, and I rolled up my 4 up ward, so no effect. Shooting, my archers put a wound on, I think a wound or 2 on one of the solo beasts of Nurgle. And that was the end of my turn. Demons of Chaos turn 1, he declares charges. All those Vargeist off to the side, he has to deal with them. If they charge in, they're going to do some serious damage. And so he charges out his 6 strong unit of Beasts of Nurgle. and that he makes that pretty easily. So that's going to be an interesting grind. And then he declares charges with both of his individual Beasts of Nurgle on my unit of Direwolves that I moved right up in front of him. So he needs to clear that up to open up the lanes for the rest of his units. And of course they make it in there. And then he moves his cannon around from the side of the building. And here's his disc rider also moving up. And magic. I have a 6 dice to his 8. And here's a good picture of the board as it stands right now. And he attempts to throw down Blue Fire and a few other spells, and I, for the most part, shut him down. Again, I have a real advantage when it comes to casting power for his level 2 against my level 5. So we go to shooting. And he targets not Nagash with his Corn Cannon. He goes after the Casket, which I think might have been a bit of a mistake. The Casket is actually a toughness 10. So he actually does hit, but he fails to wound. And then in close combat, the 2 Beasts of Nurgle easily make short work of the Direwolves, and then they overrun as so. And the Vargheists hold up pretty well against the Beast of Nurgle. I mean, I've got a pretty good weapon skill, and he's got a lot of attacks. He's got these random dice per, so they can kick out a whole ton of attacks. And these are these really decaying frogs, the toads, that they look pretty cool. But even with the -1 to hit with the Nurgle effect, I'm just banging out so many attacks per Vargheist. They're frenzied. They've got a decent strength. And so, I managed to drop 2 of these Beasts of Nurgle, but I lose about 2 or 3 of my Vargheists as a result. So, Undead Legion's turn 2. I decided to charge in the wolves that were all the way off to the left just to help out with the grind. I really want to get rid of this unit of beasts. See, they're tough. They could stick in there for a long time. They're hard to get rid of, and they've got a lot of wounds. I think they've got 4 wounds a pop. And then I ready my unit of wolves off to the right-hand side for either a flank charge or to just chaff up, harass stuff that's in the middle. And then swoop around the Blood Knights around this hill here for a flank charge. Anything that thing goes into, they're going to rip up. I mean, they're basically a unit of vampires. And I further shift around my archers to try and free up a lane for my Crypt Horrors. So I switch up with that rightmost unit of archers with the baby Necro in it. But now I have an opening so that I can move those Crypt Horrors out, and that's exactly what I wanted. I also moved the Higher Titan a little bit off to the side so I can get some of its bound casting. And that's what I do. We go to magic, and I throw down Shem's Burning Gaze. I'm not sure how many dice I threw at it, but I don't know. I mean, he might have let it pass just so he could save some dice. And I delete that solo Beast of Nurgle. I continue on with my casting. I throw down enough dice for another Rise, which is more infantry. And in this case, I wanted to throw down something that was going to really tar pit the units on this side. I didn't know how long those Vargheists were going to last against those Beasts of Nurgle, but even whether they survive or not, I wanted to lock down this side and really distract them. So I put down 50, I believe it was, 50 zombies. Good enough unit of zombies with a lot of static combat res. No necromancer support, so no healing back of any of these within range right now. But I think that these guys could, we'll just delay him long enough. He suggested I should have gone with Graveguard. I'm not so sure if that would have mattered. I think that might have been a little bit overkill. Furthermore, I wouldn't have gotten quite as many. Maybe ghouls might have been a good option. I think I could have gotten maybe about 20 ghouls. That might have been pretty good. But I like the idea of having this many zombies. I just think that it was the better move, just in terms of a holding pattern. And I still have dice left, so he is uncontested. I think he might have thrown all his dice at the last spell, and I managed to get I had a few dice left, maybe 3 dice, and I managed to roll high enough with my pluses, with the Higher Titan boosting me with another die 3, to get off Kandarak, which is a monster. So I put down a Terrorgeist, and I want to put it in range to go after that Skull Cannon, that Corn Cannon, because that's one of the biggest threats to me. So I get that off, and we go into shooting, and I scream at the cannon is within range of his general, which is in that pink horror unit to the right. So he's able to use, actually, now that I think about it, I don't think he was able to use his leadership because they were of different different types of demons. So I was able to get a decent roll off, but he still has 1 wound remaining on that cannon. And that's what I try to focus on next with my catapults. So I aim my catapult specifically onto his general's unit. I'm hoping maybe I can snipe off his general. But and I get a direct hit. So he makes his lookout, sir. I remove 3 of his horrors. And I think this is a really good spot to continue to target, because if I deviate, chances are I'll hit one of his other units because they're pretty tightly compacted. But this time I want to try and go after that corn cannon, because I figure if I get even 1 wound off on it, then I'm removing it from the table. So I target it, it deviates, and what do you know, it lands right on my newly summoned Terrorgeist. Strength 10 hit. Die 6 wounds, rolled 6 for the number of wounds. Goodbye, Terrorgeist. So as soon as that Terrorgeist showed up, he did his damage, did what he was supposed to do, but then I killed my own Terrorgeist. So all the archers that are in range start targeting that Tzeentch Herald and do enough wounds that he fails enough saves and remove him from the game, which that's a big deal. The next, I think on the far right, I had 1 more unit of archers freed up and within range, and I managed to do, I think, just 1 wound onto this remaining solo beast. The grind continues with the Vargeist. They're not doing so well. There were a whole lot more of them there before. I think I may have done maybe a few wounds. I didn't even remove another one of his beasts, but I'm down to, I think, maybe 3 Vargeists, and one of them has a wound. So the beasts are really taking these guys down. I mean, I don't even have a save, so if he wounds me, I just take the wounds. He's at least got a ward save. So, Demons of Chaos turn 2 charges. He charges, he does like a crisscross. He charges that Beast of Nurgle into the my far right archer unit with my baby Necro. He looks to charge that drone unit. I think that's the one with the banner of flame. And that one's going all the way off to the left here to go into the other unit of archers. So I guess he's looking for an overrun. And then the unit of drones on the right side behind that unit of pink cars, he wants to try and take out the direwolves, and he makes it in with all. And of course, if he defeats those direwolves, which he's like to, we'll just do an overrun into the archers, so we'll get actually 2 rounds of combat. So this is not looking too good. I'm hoping that I can outlast here just a little bit, so I can try to bring these units back. And then, of course, his corn wolves, his corn dogs come on, and they're going to go threaten the catapults and either the Higher Titan or the casket. The rest of his units move up just to get within range of some of these spells. And with magic, his pink cars cast Infernal Gateway. I'm not sure if I let this go through or if I failed to cast with how many dice I threw at it. Here's a nice close-up picture of Nagash. But with all the saves that I had, I fail at least 1, and so I take 1 wound for my troubles. So not so bad. I'll be able to heal that back. And then his cannon finally decides to fire at Nagash. So this is one of the reasons why I was trying to focus on it and get rid of it. There's 1 good shot, and that could be the end of the whole day with Nagash. And he does score a direct hit, but I do make my ward save. And in close combat, the Vargeists, they're losing fast. I've killed off another one of those Beasts of Nurgle, but I'm down to, I think, 2 Vargeists and I've got a wound on 1, so probably not going to last another turn with these guys. And the drones do destroy the direwolf unit. They overrun into the skeleton unit, which is now also engaged by that solo Beast of Nurgle, who's got an eye on my already wounded baby Necro. The drones rip through a good portion of these archers. The Beast of Nurgle whiffs against my level 1 Necro. And I may have already popped the Dispel Scroll, so I really didn't care too much. But, we want to try and preserve the points. But somehow she survives. And even with the Crumble effect, I don't think Nagash was within range to give a -2 for this unit, I forget. But with the damage that he had done, and I don't even know if I did any wounds back, I only crumble as so I still have a unit here and locking these guys up. So the other drones will completely wipe out that first unit of archers off on the left. This is why I stacked them up in 2 rows before somebody would hit Nagash, and that's exactly what happened. So these archers are sitting here now engaged with these drones, and we'll see how long they can last. But at least they're right next to Nagash, so they'll actually get the -2 on any crumble, and I'm within range where I can actually heal them back up with a Nehek. The Undead Legions turn 3. I decided to declare a couple of charges. He didn't charge me with his pink horror unit in front of the zombies because he wanted to be able to cast. I don't want that infernal gateway to come at me again, so I need to lock up this unit. And then you can see off to the right, my opponent did one. I think this is very cheesy, but I mean, look, I'm going up against. I'm throwing up a Nagash list, and a pretty tough Nagash list against him, but he's a tournament player, and I guess he's a hardcore player too. He decided in this previous turn to conga line that unit of pink horrors to chaff up my Blood Knights. Now look, it's a smart move and it's a legal move, but in a lot of circles it's considered to be a very cheesy move. But I also figured, you know what, he's not going to get rank bonus. He's certainly not going to get a lot of attacks back, and these are the Blood Knights. He might hold me up so that I don't overrun into another unit very easily, but I'm going to walk right through this unit, so I don't mind terribly. My Cryptars had also declared a charge, and I had just enough room where I could actually see the drones. So they make it in there, the Higher Titan makes it in, and I move Nagash, who still got his 1 wound from the previous round. I move him out off to the side here. I want to put him in a position where there's a chance that he could charge those drones. So within Magic, I do exactly what I had intended. Of course, I moved Nagash a little bit too close to this unit, so I wasn't able to. You have to have that 1-inch rule. So I wasn't able to heal back them to full, and I was able to restore the 1 wound to the baby Necro. I get another Terrorgeist off. I mean, again, if you're going up against Nagash, you need to have a level 4 at least. He's got a bunch of level 2s. He's channeling a lot, but he just, spell for spell, he's got to commit a lot of dice in order to try and compete with me. So here comes another Terrorgeist. Hopefully I won't kill this one myself. So my intention is to remove that Corn Cannon. But I start off with the Catapult, which probably is not the smartest move. But I managed to get a direct hit. I'm going after the Corn Cannon this time, and of course he fails its word and it's destroyed. So now I can move my Terrorgeist off at the General's unit, which is really, I guess this is what I was taking another chance with. I felt I could do a little more damage against the General's unit. He doesn't have a BSB. The leadership isn't very high. I want to try and isolate his General if I can remove a lot of these pink cars, and that's what I do. I actually get a really good roll and just erase all of his support. So now the General is just by himself. And the pink cars do a wound to one of the Blood Knights, but again, that's a lot of attacks. I think I was able to get 3 or 4 in a rank, and then the second rank get some supporting attacks, and just the volume of attacks and with the high strength, there was just no chance. I removed that unit entirely, and then of course I overrun. I'm required to because I'm frenzied, and I believe I had to make difficult terrain tests because this is considered to be a forest, and I passed them. So the Vargeist finally succumbed to the Beasts of Nurgle, but I've done some good damage. I've erased 3 of them. I think those guys are like 4 wounds a pop, so they're very tough. But he manages to do a combat reform to face my zombies, and my zombies, due to static combat res, I mean, I lost a couple of them. I think I might have lost 8 or 9 of them, but I delete the entire back row of these pink horrors. It turns out that it was a little bit of a mistake throwing that Higher Titan in there. He does do a lot of boosting for Nagash when it comes to casting, so his presence on the battlefield is going to be missed. But I threw him in there to try and save those archers. I lost the battle. When it came to static combat res, he's an individual unit, so he took whatever the crumble was and crumbled right off. But I managed to stick with the archers. There's still enough archers there that I'm holding up these drones. And the Cryptar, I lose a Cryptar for my troubles, but I take one of his drones off, and again, those archers are sticking in there, and this epic Necro is going toe-to-toe. A level 1 Necromancer is going toe-to-toe with a Beast of Nurgle and somehow is surviving. I mean, I'm not doing any wounds to it, but he's focusing all his attacks for, like, I think the second, now maybe the third combat phase in a row, and has yet to do any wounds to my Necro, which is shocking. Demons of Chaos turn 3. He declares a bunch of charges. He's got his ambushing direwolves now. One of them going after the casket, another one going after the catapult, and those beasts of Nurgle now have been kept out of the real fight for a while, and he's going to try and lend a hand when it comes to those zombies. All of them make it. He moves his general way behind my Blood Knights to attempt to get out of my charge arc, and then moves up his other unit of pink horrors so that he could try to get in within range of casting. I'm not sure which spell he was going to use. I think he was going to go after my Blood Knights, but I shut him down, so I negate the rest of his magic phase. Close combat, the Corn Wolves just rip through the catapult and my casket, and then of course the zombies survive even against a charge, a flank, all those attacks from the beasts of Nurgle. I do manage to destroy. I think I delete a couple more of those pink cars, but look at that. I think about 20 zombies left. So the drones finally finish off the archers on the far left, and he repositions either to put himself to charge Nagash or to receive a charge later on, or maybe even put himself in a position where he can lend a hand with those that baby Necro, wipe out those archers, and overrun into one or both of my units. The Beast of Nurgle is still focusing on that baby Necro, and finally takes her out. The archers are deleted by the drones. The Beast of Nurgle is stranded in this combat because it has no other foes after they're all deleted. So he does a combat reform. So Undead Legion's turn 4. Nagash is going to get into combat. I know everybody's always looking for Nagash to get into combat, and usually he doesn't need to be. But this is a point in time where I need to. I need to get him in there. I need to finish off these drones. I need to go start getting offensive, and he's got some pretty good stats. But let's see how he holds up. I easily make this charge in to the drones, not a problem. And I'm facing where the drones, the drones are spread out because they're skirmishers. But when combat happens, they kind of squish in together. So I'm actually facing all 4 of these drones. And I'm not sure what I do with the rest of my my dice, but I know that when I have 4 dice remaining, I store them because I want to use them for the hand-to-hand. I figure some heroic killing blows could be a big help here. So the Terrorgeist that's still out there next to the general screams off. He screams off the demonic general. So he's done his job. And the Cryptars are doing fine against the drone. I think this drone has maybe 2 wounds left. I've only lost I think I may have lost 1 Cryptar or with a wound against another one. I reformed so that I'm just 2x2, so I've got the maximum number of attacks to try and finish off this last drone. And Nagash whiffs. I mean, he's got a lot of attacks. He's got that great sword, which is, I think, strength 8 with it, doing die 3 wounds. I forget how many attacks he's got, but there are quite a few. He's got a higher weapon skill, and I've got 4 heroic killing blows. But I think I roll like 4 1s and 2 2s for his attacks. I managed to get a couple of shots off, and he ward saves them. All those attacks and 4 of them heroic killing blows didn't put a dent on these drones. So Demons of Chaos turn 4. He charges in one of those corn dog units into my flank, and then he puts that Beast of Nurgle unit into the rear. So this is why you don't get Nagash into hand-to-hand combat. He's tough, he's a beast, but he's not invincible. And his amazing power is by raising armies around him. You start surrounding him with units, you start racking up combat res against him, and you get enough multi-wound units attacking him, you're going to start doing some damage. So let's see how Nagash holds up. So the rest of his units start moving up. He moves out one of his heralds. I think this might be his last remaining herald to chaff up the Blood Knights. And the other unit of dogs wasn't able to get a charge in on Nagash, so he sweeps that. And they have pretty good movement. He sweeps it all the way around to try and see if he can either get this guy further into the rear of Nagash or maybe go after those Cryptars. So Nagash kills a drone. He does pretty good this turn. I get to kill off a drone, a beast, and one of the dogs. and I think I succeeded in winning this combat, even though he had, the flank and the charge. I did enough wounds, and he might have crumbled a little bit too, but Nagash still only got 1 wound on him. I think he's doing okay. He's sticking in pretty good, but he's certainly not wiping the floor with these guys. Of course, he is. There's a lot of units here with a lot of wounds that are surrounding him. So I would say that he's doing a pretty decent job. The Cryptars finally finish off that last drone, and so there's now 3 Cryptars left, one of which has a wound on it. I do a combat reform so I can go and face those Corn Wolves down south. And it's Undead Legion's now turn 5. So I charge the Blood Knights to go after this singular Herald. He's chaffing me up, but I got to finish him off. I charge the Cryptars into those dogs, easily make the Blood Knight charge, and this was a fairly decently long charge. I think it was like maybe a little bit above average. I make it. So now those Cryptars are got to beat on these Corn Wolves. I have another low magic phase. I don't think I got any spells off. Pretty much, I'm sure of that because I still have that 1 wound on Nagash. So I put all those dice into his staff so that I can convert them into heroic killing blows. The Terror guy screams that Herald off before the Blood Knights could do anything about it. I just took the chance. I mean, why waste the scream? The Cryptars start ripping through the dogs. I think I take 1 wound for my trouble, but there's only 2 dogs left. So I should be able to finish that unit by next turn, and then bring that Cryptar unit close enough where I can, if they're not already, where I can start healing them back, and then bring them into a fight against the troops that are surrounding Nagash. Nagash has he takes another wound for his trouble. I believe I kill another one of the drones, maybe another dog. So I'm whittling them down a little bit, but I'm staying in there. And again, I'm only down 2 wounds, and I should be able to bring that back up with a good magic phase and some healing. Demons of Chaos turn 5. So he turns his Beast of Nurgle around and starts running away. He realizes that he's within charge range of the Blood Knights, and he wants to try and preserve those points. So he moves up the other horrors so they can look to do some nasty casting against my Blood Knights. He gets a Bolt of Change up, and I think his initial thought was that he thought it would go down the whole row of the rank, but my front rank is what's mostly facing him, so just like with a bolt thrower, it would just go through to the guys, but he does kill those 2 guys outright. Still enough to start reducing the effectiveness of this unit, but this unit is still very scary. And that Corn Dog managed to survive. I mean, I've got 2 wounds on one of my Cryptars, and there's only 1 wound remaining on that Corn Wolf. But, next turn I should be able to finish him off. And, I'm further whittling down I haven't taken any more wounds from any of their attacks, but Nagash, I think he's not doing so well. I mean, he keeps whiffing. He's got a lot of attacks, but, again, I'm -1 because of the Nurgle effect. I'm trying to concentrate all my attacks on the Corn Dogs, trying to get rid of them, and they've got multiple wounds each, so it takes a little while, even with my die 3, to finish them off. So this is taking longer than I was hoping, but that's just indicative of the fact that even though the stats look good on paper, they don't always translate to being a behemoth when it comes to the table. And once we get to this point, my opponent calls it. He could see the writing on the wall, and so could I. Why prolong it? We've had actually a very long game as it was. This game lasted maybe about 5 hours, and we did a lot of chatting and a lot of bullshitting and theory hammer and just talking. While we were going, we didn't really rush. We kind of were taking our time, but after a while, the clock was really starting to tick. But it looked like the board would get run as follows. The Cryptars would finish off that last Dire Wolf, turn around, and then get into the fight, probably get healed back up to its full complement, and if those Corn Wolves that are up against Nagash were still there, then they'd probably charge them. If not, they would go after the drones. Between them and Nagash, those drones would be history, and then start focusing on the other 2 Pinkara units, one of which is heavy depleted, and that doesn't even count whatever new summoning or other spells I might have thrown in to do any damage to them. And the Blood Knights would probably have charged that. The bigger of the two units of pink cars would have wiped that out. I probably would have gotten my Terrorgeist in to help again with the drones for the next turn, which would have then freed it up to go and fly off and maybe do another Terrorgeist scream on whatever else was left. And I'm not, I might not have gotten those the beasts who are moving off. I might not be able to get anything close enough to get to them. I mean, this is turn 5, so I only have one turn left. But ultimately, after one more turn remaining, I think I would have dished out more damage than I would have received. However, let's be honest. This was a pretty tight game, and this was a tight game. With where I know my opponent has a view that he feels that summon units should give off victory points. When we've tallied it up, this was a functional tie. I had a minor advantage at the turn 5. If we went to turn 6, it would have been a somewhat. I would have won as an effective victory, but not a devastating victory. But let's be realistic. If all these summon units gave points, this would have been crushing defeat. And as it was a tight game, close. Even in the last turn, the way things looked like they might turn out, they couldn't turn out. I mean, my opponent is a smart player. There's a lot of things that he still could do that could have turned the tide or kept it very close. So that's one of the reasons why I think that victory points. Look, the idea of no victory points for summoned, it's baked into the mechanic of a summoning list, and you're spending a lot of those points, spending 1,000 points on Nagash. Your race is to try and replace him with as many points on the table as you can before he gets shot off. Now, admittedly, I probably put, I think, about 1,000 points onto the table turn 1, and I got 2 Terrorgeists this game too. So I was doing very well, but of course I was also up against, even though a very tough list, and for a lot of reasons, a list where magic-wise, roll for roll, I had serious advantages. So I really did run most of the magic phases and neuter him and neutralize him on most of his. So, it was a good game. It was a fun game. A tough opponent, and I'm looking forward to playing him again, probably with some kind of a little bit of a toned down list to give him a run and help him with some practice for Crossroads. But here it is. We called the game, and Nagash was able to fight this to a reasonable standstill and a close game. So, I think it's working as intended. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments, please feel free to leave it. I'm not going to get any extended, long debates about, Nagash and cheesy lists and any other stuff that, people have been making comments about. I've got an overwhelming level of support from the mass majority of people following these videos. But I think what has been said has been said. If you want to put it in there, I'm just not gonna. I might not respond to all of them, just because I think again, what needs to be said has been said about it. If you have a different viewpoint, you're entitled to it. But it is what it is. This is I'm not going to be bringing this to every fight. I think Nagash is going to take a little bit of a break. I'll finish him up. In terms of painting him, and he'll come out for any of the big uber fights against some of the other super heavyweights, who, by the way, anybody who thinks Nagash is batshit crazy, just go ahead and go look at the rules for Karl Franz Ascended, or even better than that, take a look at the Eternity King. Yeah, you'll like that one. The Eternity King, and he's a level 5 caster. Go look at the stats of that, so nobody needs to whine about Nagash anymore. Have a great day, everybody, and I look forward to the next one.